Lamar Jackson. Okay, guys, listen. Lamar Jackson might have just found his new wide receiver one. That's right. I said it. Lamar Jackson might have just found his new wide receiver one, or at the very least, a very, very special weapon. We're going to get into the day one full breakdown of minicamp for the Ravens here. There's a lot to get into, a lot to unpack. So listen, sit back, relax. This is going to be a great one. Jam-packed episode. Whether you're part of the live chat right now, shout out to you. If you're part of the hashtag replay gang, you guys know what to do. You know what to do. Put a hashtag replay gang down below in the comments and let me know your thoughts on day one of Ravens minicamp. What did you take away from it? I want to hear from you, replay gang, so let me know down below in the comments. Another thing, replay gang, please be sure to, well, everybody like this video, but if you're part of the replay gang, please hype this video as well. That helps out the channel a ton with the good old algorithm. So if you could do that, that'd be great. And also, again, special shout out to the live chat. I see you guys in here saying what's good. We're going to go ahead and run the intro real quick, and we're going to get into these Ravens. Welcome back to Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Let's get into it. Yes, sir. We are back with another episode of Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Welcome in, welcome one, and welcome all. We've got a lot to get into here on this episode of the show. And I want to give a special shout out to everybody who's here in the live chat really quick. Peter, I see you in the live chat. ISO, a member in the live chat, says Sutton, what's good? That was a crazy statement, though. I'm going to get into it. Don't worry about it. My guy Glaucoma is in here. What up? Stretch is in the building. What up? Dylan, what's up, Sutton? How you doing? I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Cannot complain. We're a couple of months out from Ravens football, but I am doing great. Cannot complain. Void is in the chat as well. What up? My guy RJ. What up, RJ? And then Keto is in the chat too. What's going on, Keto? Appreciate you for coming through. All right. Bo knows. What up? I see you. All right. So, guys, King Lee, what up? We got a lot to touch on today, a lot to get into on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I want to start with this, though. I want to start with who was there and who was not at OTAs, okay? Who was there and who was not. And Miss Fancy Pants says in the chat here already, I got some explaining to do. Well, Miss Fancy Pants, let's get into that. So here you can see this was a tweet from Gianna Hahn, Ravens reporter for the Baltimore Banner. She tweeted, missing from first open Ravens mandatory minicamp practice. And it goes as follows for the listeners out there. Cornerback Nate Wiggins was not at first day of mandatory minicamp. Neither was Zay Flowers. Neither was Rashad Bateman. Neither was linebacker Teddy Buchanan, which was expected. He's still dealing with an injury. Offensive lineman Corey Bullock was not there, okay? Left tackle Ronnie Stanley was not there. Defensive lineman Nnamdi Madubuike was not there, even though that was also as expected. Defensive lineman John Jenkins was not there, and nor was defensive lineman Travis Jones. So that was the full list of people who did not show up. Outside of that, everybody else was there. Everybody was in attendance. Now, what I will say is this. I know that Rashad Bateman, him not being there, it definitely, for me, and I'm going to just ISO on me really quick, it's an issue. Okay, it's a problem. I would have loved to see him out on the field for first day of minicamp, especially considering, like, again, this is a brand new coaching staff. I know he was there for OTAs to begin with, right? And then he kind of fell off with the voluntary OTAs. But now that it's mandatory minicamp and like everybody's reporting for work, it's time to show up. And not only show up, because he did actually show up today. He was watching the practice in street clothes. Now, whether or not he's hurt, I don't know. Okay, I'm sure I don't know. Jesse Minter talked about some of the guys who are missing in his interview. We're going to dig into the interviews later on in this episode as well, so stick around. But Rashad Bateman being there or not being there, well, being there without being there, right? It does concern me because I need to see him on the field at the very least, you know what I'm saying? Like helping out some of the younger guys and things like that. I'm like, every minute, every practice is crucial for this team. Every practice is absolutely crucial for this football team. So not having him there really sucked. Now, Zay Flowers, I don't understand. I don't understand why Zay Flowers would not show up to day one of mandatory minicamp. And again, maybe he's got something going on that is just, it's a personal matter and whatever. But based off of what I'm seeing, he is going on every podcast and kind of gallivanting around a little bit. And then, calling out our guy Cordell Woodland, saying, hey, yeah, our wide receiver room is going to be ready to go. And he put that on God. He called God about it, chat. He did. And he was not there for the first day of mandatory minicamp as the Ravens wide receiver 1. And I have an even bigger problem with that than Bateman. They're both bad. But I think as a wide receiver 1 who has talked up this wide receiver room this year, day 1 of mandatory minicamp, you're not there. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. So like I said, I don't know exactly what is going on. Jesse Minter, and a little spoiler alert for the interview, Jesse Minter said that guys were dealing with small things. Because you remember last week when he spoke at the podium, Jesse Minter said guys were dealing with some personal things. This week, or earlier today, he said they're dealing with small things. And again, we'll get into the interviews later, but I found that pretty interesting. You can tell that he wants guys in the building, and he's not the happiest about guys not being in the building. And not just in the building, but in a uniform and actually running out there and practicing. You can tell it kind of rubs him the wrong way a little bit. Other names on this list that kind of stand out to me, guys who missed the first day of mandatory minicamp. Corey Bullock. Step into my office. Corey Bullock is he went into, I'd say, the beginning of this off season, or pretty much right after Tyler Linderbaum departed for the Las Vegas Raiders. Corey Bullock was probably the number 1 option, just by default, right, to start at center going forward. And of course, this was before the free agent signings of Danny Pinter and Javon Gwynn, and then of course the draft as well, getting a Nick Dawkins as a UDFA. This was before all that stuff. And now, more recently, for some strange reason, Corey Bullock has almost completely fallen off the radar and fallen out of the race for starting center on this Ravens team. And now, and we're going to get into some of the minicamp highlights in a bit here. And now, though, we're seeing Pinter and Gwynn basically be the 1 and 2 options. We don't know exactly who it's going to be yet. As we know, Javon Gwynn spent some time with Dwayne Ledford in Atlanta, so that's his boy. He's got a little bit of favoritism there. And Danny Pinter, I believe he has some sort of connection as well, but I'm not exactly sure. But he's a vet. He was not drafted, but I believe he was acquired before Javon Gwynn, so he's also got a fair stake to that starting center position. But we'll see. We'll have to see. By the way, guys, 100 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. This is Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. I am your host, Sutton Def. I appreciate all of you guys for coming through, by the way. First and foremost, please be sure to leave a like. That's right. A thumbs up on this video goes a very long way. If you're part of the replay gang listening to this, please leave a like. Also leave a hype as well. Helps us out a ton. Other names on this list that concern me, Ronnie Stanley. I mean, again, it's mandatory. I'll put it like this. If you're not known to be hurt right now, I don't care if you're a vet, whatever, you need to have your ass out there. Somebody let me know if I'm missing something. Is Ronnie Stanley hurt? I don't believe that he was nursing an injury. Yet he's missing day 1 of mandatory minicamp. Maybe he's back tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But he needs to be there. If the way I see it, if Calais Campbell can be out there, then Ronnie Stanley can be out there. And John Jenkins. and Travis Jones. That's just me, though. Again, I'm not harping on it too much, but that mandatory word, right? It's mandatory minicamp. Guys are supposed to be there. So I got to call it how I see it. All right? I got to call it how I see it. Tila, what's going on, Tila? Got some mods in the chat. Ash Marie, what up? What up? Got some mods and members in the chat. What's going on, y'all? We got Mr. Loop in the chat as well. What up? What up? What up? Mentor did not sound like that. That's Cap, says Glaucoma. Are we going to look at the interviews? Make sure you stick around. We're going to take a look, and we're going to break it all down. All right. Let me see. Somebody said something about Bateman in here. You just breezed by Bateman not practicing. I'm not breezing by nothing, y'all. I'm not breezing by anything. I mean, I said this yesterday to Alex on the main pod. I said that, hey, listen, man, if Bateman's not at mandatory minicamp day 1, I am going to be concerned. I am going to be concerned because he is one of the guys who he's not necessarily on the bubble, so to say, like he's going to get cut, but he is trade bait right now. I firmly believe that, especially after we get into what we're about to get into here in a minute about some of these rookies and what they're doing out there. Bateman's spot ain't safe. I love him. You guys know that. I love Rashad Bateman. Okay, I think he has all the tools in the toolbox. He's capable of doing anything. He's capable of doing anything on the field. Right? So, with that being said, man, I really wanted to see him here at day 1 of minicamp, but unfortunately, he just, I don't know. He's dealing with small things, personal things, according to Declan Doyle. Not Declan Doyle, but Jesse Minter, excuse me. Bateman is not at practices because he's hitting the gym since he missed the other stuff for his kid. Okay. What's up, Sudden? Ready bring Bateman haters handbook. You don't have to worry about me. I love to see Rashad improve his doubters wrong. That's what I'm talking about. Clap it up for Justin, man. Get some bait support in here, man. That's what we need. That's what we need. Okay. Let's move right along here, chat. So we've covered who was in attendance here today at not OTAs, but minicamp. Let's take a look at some of the standout players from today. So here is one thing, and this kind of goes with the title of the video, chat. So as you can see here, as you can see right here, this is music to my ears. Well, not that, but this is just such a delight. As you can see here, Lamar Jackson, this was the biggest play of the day. I'm going to slow it down because why not? We're going to put it at half speed here. So all my viewers on YouTube, shout out to you because you're going to get to see this nice and slow. So Lamar Jackson rolling out of the pocket, which by the way, I think you're going to see a lot of this season, right? Declan Doyle is going to have Lamar Jackson moving that pocket. I expect a lot of play action boots, right? I expect a lot of plays where Lamar Jackson is rolling out to his right and looking to throw downfield. So here he goes deep. By the way, just perfect spiral on the ball as well. Throwing on the run. Hold on, let's bring that back. I don't think y'all saw it. Look at this. Perfect spiral, throwing on the run. And see, Lamar Jackson is famous for this. He's famous for this. Lamar Jackson is probably better than any quarterback in this league at throwing on the run. I'm willing to, I can stamp that. I think he's better than Josh Allen at it. I think he's better than Patrick Mahomes at it. Just with like how he's able to on the run, throw to the strong side of the field, throw to the weak side of the field across his body. Right? Across his body. He does this time and time again. Time and time again. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just, and as you can see at the end there, who caught that? None other than 4th round pick, wide receiver, Elijah Surratt. Chat, let me put it to you like this. This play right here may have been the start of something beautiful. A beautiful connection, a beautiful union, if you will, between Lamar Jackson and Elijah Surratt. Because what did I say? What did I say just a couple of weeks ago about these young wide receivers, these rookies, right? What did I say, Chad? Anybody remember? I said, all it's going to take is Lamar Jackson in minicamp, training camp, or in preseason for one of these guys, Elijah Surratt or Jacoby Lane, and we'll get to him later. All it's going to take is for one of those guys to just make a few plays. A few plays. And to take that further, to make a few Lamar plays, if you know what I mean. I know I have it paused right here because I want you to see at the catch point just how strong. By the way, Marquise Robinson in coverage right here, you can't cover any better than this. You cannot cover any better than what Marquise Robinson is covering right here. And this is a deep ball over the shoulder, right? Elijah Surratt, he's got his hands out. He's got the bread basket ready. And Marquise Robinson is, as he should, disrupting that bread basket, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. He still caught that. But again, chat, like I said, all it's going to take is for a couple of these type of plays to happen in minicamp, to happen in training camp. And then boom, Lamar Jackson trusts this guy now. That's all it takes. That's the thing about Lamar Jackson. He don't need to see much. He don't need to see much. He saw it from Isaiah Likely early on and said, oh, cool, I can trust that guy going down the field. Because by the way, how many other receivers on the roster do you know are making that catch in a game? That's what I want to know, chat. How many other receivers on this roster right now are making that over-the-shoulder contested catch deep down the field like that? Somebody please let me know. Let me know down below in the comments. Because guess what? Outside of, Tez Walker, we've seen him. We've seen him do it. He had one that he dropped last season, I believe on Thanksgiving, Tez Walker did. But I believe Tez Walker can come down with something like this. Hell, I believe Rashad Bateman can come down with a throw like this. Zay, I think he can. I definitely think he can, right? But it's just like not, first of all, it's not as likely for Lamar Jackson to throw a ball like that to Zay Flowers, right? Lamar Jackson prefers to throw a ball like that to a bigger body. But my point is, chat, that Elijah Surratt is here. And all it's going to take, again, is for these guys to keep connecting with each other over the next couple of days in minicamp. And then once training camp starts up as well, if they take that connection in the training camp, and then Tyler Huntley's throwing dots to Elijah Surratt in the preseason, yeah, you might have just found your new wide receiver 1 or 2. Okay? Because if there's one thing that we know that Lamar Jackson hunts relentlessly, it's big plays like this down the field. And if he knows he can trust you, he can rely on you as a pass catcher. When he puts the ball out there, if he can rely on you to haul it in and do that consistently, he will find you. He will find you. So, and this is honestly what Elijah Surratt specialized in at Indiana in college. The contested catches. Man, this excites me. This excites me. It does. By the way, 150 people watching live right now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. We're on the road to 7,000 subs. We are so close. Maybe like 50 away, maybe 50, 60 subs away from 7K. If you guys could help us out, that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah. Let me see here. Let me see here. Let me see here. A practice squad DB. Listen, he could be a practice squad DB. That's fine. That coverage was still perfect. That coverage was still perfect. He was blanketed. It's not like Elijah Surratt absolutely cooked him and just left him in the dust and he just kind of caught it uncontested. No, that was just defender draped all over. Hell, it could have been me out there with my arm in there, and I still would have been impressed if he'd have caught that football. That's incredible. Nation World says, boy, it took one good catch for him to be here. I guess this is where we at now. Listen, I said this before as well, before the draft. Draft me some wide receivers. No longer are the days, do I think us as Ravens fans can get away with just being like, oh, we're just not good at developing wide receivers. Let's just go ahead and acquire wide receiver 1 in free agency or via trade. No. We've got totally new brain power in the building. Let's take some of these young guys and develop them. Right? And I have all the faith in the world that you're going to have a Declan Doyle who can do that. A Jesse Minter who's going to be dedicated to helping do that. So, I mean, and again, Elijah Surratt's a guy who I still don't know to this day why he fell so far in the draft. No clue. No clue. No clue at all. I mean, you talk about him being here. He was here last season when he won the championship with Indiana and Fernando Mendoza. And what, 30% of his catches were touchdowns. I mean, he was a beast. He's a beast. Anthony Jordan, appreciate the sub, man. Thank you for helping us on the road to 7K. We appreciate that. Oh, yeah, someone else to throw to. Exactly, exactly. Can't defend that. Perfect pass, perfect catch. I said a draft night, Surratt is a problem. He is. He is, man. He is. That's what I think. That's what I think. All right. All right. Total 10 speed says Sutton, wait until Lamar and Surratt get the timing route and pass game established. Yeah. I mean, listen, man. And this is why, I mean, listen, Bateman got to start showing up to work. Look, Bateman got to start showing up to work or else it's going to be over for him. He's got to start showing up, man, because guys like this are here now. We haven't even talked about Jacoby Lane. He had a more of a quiet day, right? But hey. Neuro, what's going on? Syndicate, what up? I see you. All right. And again, shout out to the replay gang. Let's move on. Let's move on. But I think that this is going to be a beautiful connection going forward. I will say that. I will stand by that. Okay. Let's go through some more highlights here. Well, standouts from today's minicamp practice. This is coming from Ryan Mink. Shout out to him. He says that rookie punter Ryan Eckley hit some absolute 60-yard missiles and has a couple nice pooch punts. Rookie wide receiver Elijah Surratt, of course, he made the best catch of practice in a tightly contested long throw to the sideline. We just took a look at that. Zion Young continues to impress. Okay, Zion Young is a guy who, listen, so far you've heard nothing but great things about Zion Young when it comes to just like his motor, when it comes to his power, when it comes to the energy he brings on the field, like the intangibles and things like that. And apparently he got into a little bit of a scuffle with another Raven today. We're going to get into that too here in a second. And we knew this was coming, but we're going to get into that here in a second. Trenton Simpson and Roquan Smith both shot some gaps for TFLs as well. So lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff you're hearing from the defense and special teams so far. We love to hear that. Now, let's go ahead and let me pull up some highlights here. How about we take a look at some highlights from today for all of my video watchers out there. Jacoby Lane, you can see being Jacoby Lane. Oh yeah, no linemen working with each other. I believe those were the centers. Kyle Hamilton's back at work too. Love to see it. Love to see it. Lamar to Elijah on that fade route would be deadly. I'm thinking more Jacoby Lane on the fade route. with that height and hand size, I'm thinking you toss it up to Jacoby Lane. He's going to go up high point the ball. He's got the hands to squeeze it, right? All he's got to figure out is just how to get his feet down. You know, it's not college. You got to get both feet down. I don't think he'll have a problem doing that. All right, I'm gonna run through some more of these notes here while we take a look at some of these highlights from today's day one mini camp. Again, guys, please be sure to like the video, sub to the channel if you are new. Let me see here. Okay, so let's talk about special teams a little bit more here. So, talking about Tyler Loop today. Tyler Loop, off the tee, Tyler Loop knocks in 9 of 10 field goals from varying intermediate distances, had 1 miss from 45 yards out, then 2 makes from same distance to conclude the period. During special teams live period today, with full kicking operation in play, Tyler Loop knocks in all 5 field goals, including from 52 to conclude the period. Loop and the holder, Ryan Eckley, simulated the whole setup, returning, coming off the sideline after each kick. And that's important. That's important because we talk a lot about how Jesse Minter is really big on the details, right? And that tells you exactly that. It tells you exactly that. I mean, for context, last year, when Tyler Loop would kick in practice, he'd just take an attempt, then line up and swing again, right? He wouldn't have to come off the field and then come back on the field and things like that. But that's part of the process in game. That's part of the process in game. So that was a key detail that, lo and behold, a special team specialist in John Harbaugh, you know what I mean? He missed out on that. And I think it's genius to be able to scout that, you know, to point that out as a defensive-minded head coach if you're Jesse Minter, like, and say, hey, look, in a game, we're going to be trying to simulate real game scenarios and situations at all times. So yeah, after you made that kick, I need you to run off the field, look onto the field for a few seconds. Okay, now run back on, because that's what you're going to have to do in game. You're not just going to be able to kick and then, you know, mentally like reset, get comfortable in your spot, and then kick again from that same spot. Kick again from that. No, you get one chance. Run out here, you get one chance, run back. That's what it is. That's what it is. Jesse Minter, all about the details. All about the details. Love that. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Mike, what up? Appreciate you for coming through, man. Shout out to Luke for making all these changes happen. Yes, yes, absolutely. Clap it up for Tyler Luke, man. For the one time. For the one time. You gotta clap it up for him. Alright, alright. Was the music playing? Oh crap. My bad. My bad. For some reason I can't hear anything out of my AirPods. It's weird. There we go. Let's see if I can change this. All right, whatever. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get on with these notes here. So that is special teams. Guys, we had a fight. We had a fight. We had some post-whistle fireworks at Ravens minicamp, okay? Some post-whistle fireworks. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Outside linebacker Zion Young gave second-year offensive lineman Emory Jones Jr. a little extra shove at the end of the play. As the two players walked back to their respective huddles, Jones got in Young's face, and the rookie offensive linebacker did not back down. The back and forth jawing was quickly separated by teammates. Oh. Now listen, I love to hear that. I love to hear that. You heard it there first, folks. You heard it there first, folks. Zion Young's already getting chippy. He's already getting chippy. And I like the fact that, you know, they didn't let it escalate any further than it needed to go. I love that. But man, I love Zion Young's energy. Real quick, got a super chat donation. This one's coming from Dylan Bauer. Appreciate you dropping the 2-piece in the chat. Says Fruit Loop is terrible. I want Tucker back. Nah, we good on that. We're all good on Tucker. All good on. There's a reason why he's still unemployed right now. There's a reason. But Tyler Loop, I think he's good. I think he's good. He just needed that high pressure situation much earlier in the season, but instead he got it at the very last, play of the season to make or break the season to get into the playoffs or not. It's just unfortunate, you know. Fighting without pads is stupid, especially especially among linemen. I agree. But again, like I said, though, I think there is something to be said about just how eager, and Jesse Minter kind of talked about that at the interviews, which we're going to get into in a minute here, guys. He talked about how eager, this guy is. How eager he is to just be on the field. He doesn't like to make the same mistake twice. He loves the details of it all as well. So Zion Young is really the complete package, right? Young guy who's a very smart player, but super tenacious, violent, and then we'll let you know about that violence after the whistle is blown. You can't teach some of that. You can't teach that energy stuff, chat. You just can't. You can't. And the fact that he was willing to go head up with Emory Jones is a big dude. Big dude. There's a reason why he played at LSU, Emory Jones. But yeah, man, I can't wait for, like I said with Alex yesterday, man, those joint practices that we have. We have one with the Vikings and one with the Commanders when training camp starts. Man, I already know he's going to get into it with somebody. Preseason, he might do it as well. As long as it don't get out of hand, which I don't think it will. I think he just brings more intensity than it. I don't think he's out there actually looking for a fight. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think that that's what he does at all. He's just like super energetic and not afraid to talk a little smack to you, right? All in good football fun. But some guys, they might be having a little worse day than other guys and might push back a little bit. And Zion Young, like I said there, he did not back down. Did not back down. And this is a rookie. That's what we're not getting. This is not a listen, I don't know whose bags Zion Young is going to be carrying. But if you catch my drift. I don't know, chat. Joint practice squabbles. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Zion is big too. Fights in camp are always good, in my opinion, as long as they don't injure each other. Yeah. No Loop slander. We ain't slandering Tyler Loop over here. Especially not in defense of no Justin Tugger. Ooh, Zion mic'd up this season? Can y'all imagine? Good point, Tila. Zion Young mic'd up would be absolute cinema. Like chef's kiss. I can only imagine just in the huddle before the game. Because eventually I do think that Roquan Smith is going to pass the reins of hyping up the team pregame. He's going to pass that over to Zion Young. And Roquan I think he was asked about Zion Young. Again, we're going to get into the interviews here soon. But everybody sees it. Everybody sees that this kid is the next, he's the it thing, right? It's going to be crazy to watch. It's going to be insane. All right, let me see here. Try to get my AirPods back in so I can hear. Zion not getting the mic this year. He too real? No, he gonna get the mic. They are going to give him the mic. Dylan with another super chat donation, dropping the 5-piece this time. Appreciate you, Dylan. Dylan says Tucker is bad off the field. Loop is bad on the field. I would rather have the guy who was good on the field. See, here's the thing. Tucker, towards the end there, he was falling off. I don't know if you remember, Dylan, but Tucker was falling off a little bit. He was way more inconsistent than what we were used to. So I think the decline was real. And again, there's a reason why. I could even say he's great on the field, things like that. He's one of the best kickers, if not the greatest kicker of all time. I'm not taking that away from him, but it looked like the decline was there. The decline was there. And like I said before, there's a reason why he's still unemployed today. I think the Saints brought him in for a workout a couple of months ago. Never heard anything about that after that. Right? Never heard anything about that. So, but Loop was pretty good. He was pretty consistent last year in, kicking field goals, especially as a rookie. He just had to work on those kickoffs, man, which I don't really, slight him for that too much because the kickoff rules are changing like every single year. So that must be tough on kickers, but he's got to clean that up. He's got to clean that up. 32 teams are out on Tucker. He's got nothing left. Mike says Lane will definitely get mic'd up. That's for sure. That's for sure. Totally believe that. Lane will definitely be mic'd up, maybe on a couple different occasions this season. Matter of fact, drop it in the chat who you want to be mic'd up. Who do y'all want to be mic'd up this year? I want to know. Drop it down below in the comments, like top 3 players you want to see mic'd up this upcoming season. For me, I am gonna go Lane, and I'm gonna go Zion Young. For my third one, I mean, there's gonna be givens like Lamar, and maybe Henry gets one. I wouldn't mind Trey Hendrickson. Apparently, he's a shit talker, which I didn't know that, but apparently he is. So I wouldn't mind Trey Hendrickson for the one time. Hamilton would be a fun one, but then again, Hamilton doesn't really talk much, though. I feel like he doesn't really talk much. Hamilton's just a demon, bro. He's just a demon. That's what that is. All right, chat. Let's dive into these interviews, shall we? Let's dive into these interviews. Hopefully I can't hear it because I can't even hear anything here. Let me see.
Yep.
That is weird. Trey mic'd up versus the Bengals. That would be dope. Perfect, actually. Can you imagine just the moment where he sacks Joe Burrow and he's like getting off the ground? Like, what does he say to Joe Burrow in that moment? I would pay top dollar to hear that audio. I would. I truly would. All right, chat. So let me see here. Why is the audio not working for me? For your boy Sutton. Super weird. Okay. Let's try this, maybe. Weird. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at the interviews over here. So we can go through. Head coach Jesse Minter on the message to the team for the new season.
Well, first of all, it's gratitude to the players and the coaches for the offseason program that we've had. When you hire a new staff and you put a lot of time and energy into that, you got guys moving from different parts of the country, players coming into something new, having to start 2 weeks earlier than they're used to, which is different for them as well. And so gratitude for them and the kind of the work that we put in, the attendance that we've had. And then simply just a continuation of what we've been trying to accomplish, where we're trying to go. Again, the standards that we're trying to create and uphold every day that'll allow us to reach the ultimate goals that we have. The ultimate goals are cool to talk about at the beginning, I would say, but at the end of the day, it becomes a very day-to-day operation of just trying to get a little bit better every day, trying to focus on the things that impact winning at a high level. The guys have done a great job. I think they've really, taken to what we're trying to get across. And so just love the work that the guys have put in and really appreciative of the effort of both the players and the coaches.
So that was kind of low key. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but that was low key like a Harbaugh'ism, because Harbaugh used to say, things like that all the time. Like, it's a day-to-day operation, and, we can't have our eyes set on the big picture so much because it's a day-to-day thing. And that used to annoy me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's like, I get it because like you are the sum of your parts. Like you do have to stack good days in order to get to where you want to get to. But where was that energy that he had at the uniform release where he was, he was pulling the LeBron. He was like, we're not trying to win 1 championship. We're not trying to win 2 championships, not 3, not 4. That was the energy that Jesse Minter had at the in front of all those fans about a month ago or 2 months ago during the uniform release. Y'all remember that? Anywho. I can actually hear now, so let's get back over here and watch it on this end.
I do. That's again. I think that's like he at some point that'll clear itself up. Again, we feel good about where it's at, and so I would just leave it at that right now.
Just to clarify, everyone's reported and is here.
Absolutely.
All right, so you guys heard it there. Nnamdi Madubuike, an update on him. Basically, there's no update. He said that they feel good about it. They feel good about it, which, a lot of people forget that we heard a couple of weeks ago to this point, somebody had said that his doctors had basically cleared him and he was projected to be able to play this season. So I still think that this is a good sign. We're trending towards Madubuike playing. Do I think he's going to start the season? Probably not. But do I think he'll probably be back by maybe Thanksgiving? I think that's realistic. Okay. Another super chat donation. This one is coming from, let me see, Eclectic Bistro Chef. Cool name. Dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Thank you so much. Says, good day, sir. Go easy on the happy hour live stream. Big on this wide receiver room. No need for any extra bodies. Easy on the happy hour live streams. I mean, hey, look, they be sending the donations, man. I got to do it. When they send the donations. Excuse me. Can't talk today. But yeah, Friday we'll be doing another happy hour live stream covering all the things that happened this week at Ravens minicamp. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of news between now and then. By the way, some really cool guests coming on the show for the remainder of this week. So stay tuned and locked into the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel because we got big things coming up, guys. Big things. But he also says, big on this wide receiver room. No need for any extra bodies. And you know what? I agree with that. I think I agree with that. To me, it's give me D-Hop or let's just rock out with what we have. That's where I'm at. Give me D-Hop or let's just rock with what we have. I don't want no Stephon Diggs and his pink man Goyard purse. I don't want any of that. I know y'all saw that tweet, that post from Stephon Diggs. He's got a pink man purse and a little crop top. I'm all set. Give me D-Hop or let's just rock out with what we got, especially after what I'm seeing from Elijah Surratt. I think he's going to carry that same energy into training camp. Once the pads come on as well, we're really going to see who stands out, who separates the men from the boys there. But I am pretty big on the wide receiver room right now. I mean, again, Zay Flowers, he's going to be wide receiver 1. Bateman, I think, is going to have a resurgence this year, much to you guys' chagrin, because of the way you guys put it, you guys would rather have Bateman do terrible this year just to prove your boy Sutton wrong. Some of you guys would. Not all you guys, but some of you guys would. Just saying. Whenever I would never do that for Zay Flowers. I want Zay Flowers to score all the touchdowns this season and get 1,600 receiving yards like he said he was going to do on that podcast yesterday. Anywho, thank you so much for your super chat donation. Bistro Chef, thank you so much. I think this is your first time. New face here. New face. If you are a new face, please like the video. Subscribe as well. Come on back. We'd love to have you. All right. So let's continue here with what Jesse Minter had to say.
So the next 2 days, what's kind of the messaging for the minicamp?
First of all, it's gratitude to the players and the coach trying to go. Again, the stand ultimately get a little bit better. The guys, and so just love the work that the guys have put in and really appreciative of the.
What's your impressions? And so just like, oh my God, how old is he?
Calais can still play at a really high level.
Campbell.
I think his tape last season speaks for itself. On top of how he is as a player, he had, I want to say, 6.5 sacks last year. Some.
By the way, Calais Campbell's 6.5 sacks last year would have led all Ravens in sacks last year. Just a fun fact.
Sometimes sack numbers, on a team that didn't win a lot of games. And so it's even more impressive, some of the numbers that he was probably able to have, because you're not playing with the lead all the time and really able to tee off. So I'm excited about what he'll bring between the lines to our defense. And then also very excited about him as a person, him as a leader in the locker room. A lot of the guys know him from his previous stint here, what he does in the community, what he does for our team and our organization. We couldn't be more excited to have Calais.
You and Calais had
1 year together. It was your last year here before. What stood out beyond? Everyone knows how great of a player he is, but what stood out? How much of a relationship did you guys have? I mean, obviously working on the same side of the ball.
Yeah, I think we just had a very respectful relationship for what my job was and what he was doing. Wink did a great job as our coordinator, getting everybody involved and getting a chance to do things in the game plan. And so you had a chance to sort of speak in front of everybody at different times. But I really just, like, again, I talked about Derek a couple weeks ago, Trey, like the way these guys operate, and you see why they're able to sustain a level of play for so long, how they operate during the week, how they prepare, how they take care of themselves, how they get what they need out of practice, which looks different for a guy his age versus a 22-year-old, but what they need to get out of practice and how they really prepare themselves for Sundays is what really sticks out about Calais.
Yeah, I mean, is there a reason for that long? I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but is there a key for a guy to have that longevity? I mean, 19 seasons now, it's kind of remarkable.
I was talking to him when we signed him, and I think there's a point in time where you kind of figure out what's best for your body, and sometimes, like, the off season really, really needs to become about your body recovering from 17, 18, 19, 20 weeks. And I think he's got a really good formula for himself that's different than most. I mean, there's not many guys, I don't know if there's anybody on the defensive side of the ball at that age playing at that position. So I think he's just really figured it out. He takes great care of himself. He studies.
What up, Mikey?
And, sometimes it takes a little bit of luck to stay healthy all those years and never have one of those fluky, freaky type of things. And so just again, really excited and happy to add him to the group.
As I say, Calais Campbell don't get hurt like that. He don't get hurt like that. Like he literally, he is literally an oak tree. That's what Calais Campbell is. He's an oak tree. He's just there. He's just there. And Calais said something very, very cool in his interview. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. But he said something cool about, him deciding to keep playing football. We'll get to that later, though.
And spend time with Roquan Smith, and what are your expectations for him or what you've seen from him so far?
Man, it's been such a joy and pleasure to get to know Roquan. When you go to a team, you sort of think a little bit about guys, but you really have never spent those day in and day out time with them. I know this, that since he and I first met probably in February, he's been unbelievable. I mean, he's a guy that's been one of the major leaders of our offseason program, worked his butt off, practices his butt off, taking ownership of the defense in a way that you kind of hope a Mike linebacker would. And then what he's done sort of speaks for itself, like the career that he's had. I'm only judging him kind of since I've gotten here, and I could not be more pleased with what Roquan's done. And I expect him to be one of the best linebackers in the National Football League this year.
So you guys heard there Jesse Minter talking about Roquan Smith and his outlook for him on this 2026 season, saying, hey, look, I can only judge him on what I've been seeing so far, but he is excited for him to have a bounce back year. Now, we have another Super Chat donation. This one's coming from the Chef. Appreciate you, Chef. Clap it up for him. Dropping the 5-piece in the chat. I know that's right. It says, Sutton, is it me? Roquan seems happy with the new coaching changes on defense as well. No longer failing, but put into proper position. Yes. Bingo. You're exactly right, Chef. And that was probably one of the biggest things I took from the Roquan part of this press conference. He said, and we're going to get into it more in detail later when we listen to him speak, but he said something along the lines of, last year wasn't the type of year that I wanted to have, and whatever the circumstances may have been, all I could control was my reaction to it. He said something like that, basically implying that him and Mike Green feel the same way about last year's defense. And Mike Green, like, basically saying, Zach Orr and that coaching staff last year had guys out of position. We were playing out of position. We were fish out of water. We were just trying to make it work. That's what they were trying to do. And, Roquan definitely does seem like he is, Roquan's a vet, so it's kind of hard to get a read on him about the new coaching staff. So we'll just have to see. But I definitely do think that he was, in a way, saying that it feels better now being able to play more so in position, or else it seems like, that's what we're going to be able to do. this year. Thank you so much, Chef, for your super chat donation, brother. As always, man, supporting the show, making it rain here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. All right, let's let Jesse keep cooking.
Mike Green was pretty complimentary of just how your entire operation has been. Feels very individualized to maximize each individual player. How do you kind of balance enforcing your system and structure while also, listening to the player and, doing what's best for them as you operate, specifically on the defense?
Yeah, I think, the job that we have to put these guys in the best position to be successful, both technique-wise, schematically, what we allow them to do. And so figuring out what everybody does best before you just throw out your defense and kind of say, like, this is what we're going to do. I think it's been like that everywhere, and every year, ironically, over the last 4 years, whether it's different positions where the strength of the defense, different levels of the defense where the strength of the defense, and that you can tailor what you're doing around the players that you have. And I think that's the beauty of coaching on both sides of the ball, special teams, everything is, given a little bit of freedom, but also them understanding what it takes to play great team defense and trying to find that balance. The guys have done a great job with that. And so really, really happy with where that's headed.
Yeah, sounds like the defense, man. I can only imagine how much of a turnaround, statistically even, this 2026 Ravens defense is going to be as opposed to the 2025 Ravens. When we look at certain things like, passing yards per game allowed, fourth quarter points allowed per game. I mean, I would love to know the stat on that. Maybe I'll look it up here in a minute, but like the Ravens probably let up the most fourth quarter points, or at least top 5 among any defense in the league. Had to have been. The way teams were just walking us down. Especially the AFC East. Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, we took care of them pretty handedly. But you guys get my point, man. I think that this defense here, with all the communication and the attention to detail that we're actually getting value out of a defensive-minded head coach instead of having, a special teams-minded head coach who has to defer and delegate all of the schematic responsibilities down to his assistant coaches. No more. We made it, chat.
Marlon Humphrey is back out here. What do you think about Marlon being out at practice again, and where do you see him kind of fitting in with the rest of the guys in the team?
Yeah, I think Marlon, again, another guy where, like, what he's done in his career sort of speaks for itself. All the interceptions, all the forced fumbles, all the accolades. Again, he's a guy that loves to be out there and competing in football, and you feel that when he's out here. I expect him to have a really, really nice year, play up to the standard that he's sort of set for himself, and really excited what he brings to the table.
Another super chat donation. This one's coming from Eclectic Bistro Chef, again dropping the 2-piece in the chat. Appreciate that. Says us versus them galvanizes the team stronger together. Yeah, I mean, it really does feel like they are establishing a culture of like kind of like you're mentioning, like kind of like an us versus them thing. Even with like the things that they did, the little exercises they do at the end of practices where it's like offense versus defense. I think that does bring the two units closer together. We're going to get into some of that actually a little bit later on the show too. What they were doing at the end of minicamp today, the little competition that they had. But thank you so much for your super chat donation again, brother. We appreciate that. Making it rain here on Quiet Storm Sports. Be sure to like the video, guys, and hype the video if you're part of the replay gang. Let's continue.
When you look at that wide receiver group, do you feel like it's set up so that you're going to need production from one or both of those rookies? And based on what you've seen.
All right, so listen up, guys. This is where Jesse Minter is going to speak about these rookie wide receivers and what he expects from them.
Do you feel like they're on track to give you that?
Yeah, I think, when you draft guys third and fourth round, especially, kind of two guys at the position, I do think that, most of the time you'll probably end up getting, hopefully both of them, like a perfect world, they both, develop and play really well. I do think there'll be major opportunities for at least one of them, when you look at the number of guys that.
While it buffers here, that was very interesting that he said that. So there's going to be opportunities for at least one of them, which lets me know, because here's what we have to remember, guys. As much as we would want for Elijah Surratt to break out, Jacoby Lane to be a dog, for Zay Flowers to still get over 1,000 yards, for Rashad Bateman to have a resurgence, for Mark Andrews to turn the clocks back and get 8 touchdowns, whatever. As much as we would love for all those things to happen, Tez Walker to turn up and have a breakout year, as much as we would love for those things to happen, we do still have to remember that the Ravens are a run-first football team. Okay, run-first football team. That's Derrick Henry, like heavy doses of Derrick Henry. Heavier packages. You're going to see some 13 personnel with 3 tight ends on the field. You're going to see a lot of outside zone, trying to get downhill on defenses. And we're going to throw the ball off of the run success. So not everybody's going to be able to eat, is what I'm saying. Not everyone's going to be able to eat in this receiving room. Someone's going to be the odd man out, and it's not just going to be Tez Walker. Okay? It's not. So that's the reality of things. And Jesse Minter, I was glad he kind of acknowledged that here in a way. Basically saying that, at least one of those guys we expect to have, some good opportunities for. And that's why it's all the more reason why these moments here are golden. They're so special. These moments here are special. Like these mini camp moments, these training camp moments. Whoever is standing out and setting themselves apart, that's huge. Chatting like that's huge. And that's why I'm so big on Elijah Surratt. I have been since we drafted him. Right? I thought we should have drafted him before Jacoby Lane. But now he's proving in mandatory minicamp that he is that dude. But let me let Jesse Minter finish here talking about these rookie wide receivers.
We have. I think they've both done a really good job this spring of just learning completely new offenses from what they were used to from their respective colleges. They're both really competitive. They're both really athletic. They both catch the ball really well. They both, I think, have proven to me to be a little bit like really detailed for young guys, and very excited about the potential of both those guys.
This is obviously your first time where you're answering the questions about injuries, and also our first time interacting with you in that sense. So a lot of this is so we don't ask the wrong question in the future. But what's your stance on injury questions? How do you want to answer injury questions during the season or during camp?
Well, I think honestly, like in season, the injury report sort of takes care of knowing a lot about what's going on with guys. I try to have respect with the players and talk to them about things, and so we'll try to keep a lot of that, when we can, between us. But again, right now we fully expect everybody on the roster, and working through the Nnamdi situation to be ready when we start camp.
Jesse, last week we talked about defensive guys feeling like they have a chip on their shoulders on the approach this year. Kind of what is the sense you've gotten from guys about where this defense could be and should be this year?
Yeah, I think.
Unfortunately, Afia, I think Wade is probably going to be odd man out. Definitely an odd man out for sure. There's just too many mouths to feed in the wide receiver room. Way too many mouths to feed. Unfortunately for D Wade.
It's easy to talk about right now, but I go by the way these guys have worked and their willingness to kind of do things maybe a little different. Tons of respect and love for the coaches that were here before. Doesn't mean they.
Real quick, another super chat donation from Bistro Chef says, respectfully, new regime, new scheme, we don't know. Yeah, but based off of the things that we saw from, say, for example, Dwayne Ledford in Atlanta utilizing a lot of outside zone, the things that we saw with Declan Doyle with the Chicago Bears using a lot of multiple tight end sets and things like that, and then also spreading the ball around, spreading the wealth. We've seen a lot of that. So I think that they carried those things into Baltimore because, like I told Alex yesterday, I mean, Declan Doyle and Anthony Weaver and Jesse Minter, they walked into a literally a turnkey house, right? They bought a house that was fully furnished. The Ravens are fully furnished with whatever you need to execute your scheme. So I do think you're going to see some continuity between what guys like Declan Doyle were doing in Chicago, what Dwayne Ledford was doing with the Atlanta Falcons and their offensive line. I do expect that. I do.
We're doing anything, whatever. But when you come in and you want to run things defensively a certain way and do things a certain way, they've had to buy into that, and they have. I think Weave's done a great job being like an unbelievable leader for that group. And all the position coaches have done a really good job. So, again, I like where their mindset's at. I like the way that they go about working. And I'm confident that we'll be able to put a defense out there that plays at a high level.
Coach, what's stood out to you so far about Zion?
You know, it's again, like, he's eager, man. He's really eager to do things right. He doesn't like making the same mistake twice.
Talking about Zion Young.
I think there's, you know, when he strikes a sled, like, it looks different. He's
What'd he say? What'd you say, Coach?
Eager to do things right. He doesn't like making the same mistake twice. I think there's, you know, when he strikes a sled, like, it looks different. He's extremely physical. Got almost toned him down in the periods because of the rules of engagement right now.
Love to hear that.
But I like how hard he plays. I like the swagger, the edge that he sort of brings when he's on the field. I like how he's learned everything and picked it up to this point. And, man,
Zion Young is literally like, he's like a pit bull. He's like a pit bull, like a hungry, angry pit bull, a hangry pitty. Okay. And I know a thing or two about those because I have one. Mine isn't angry, but he gets hungry, and sometimes when he gets hungry, he gets angry, but not like that. But Zion Young angry, I'm talking like, you can't let this dog off the leash. You can't let him off the leash. You guys saw it in that overtime game that he had at Missouri, where he was one of the captains that walked out there for the coin flip in overtime. And he just can't stop, like, screaming in the other team's face, like, let's do it, let's go, let's go, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a dog, like, he's on the leash. And when you unleash him, man, I just imagine Lamar Jackson has been busting your ass all day, busting your team's ass all day. Lamar's got 3-4 touchdowns. Your team is down 20+ points, right? Derrick Henry's getting off on you as well. And you're the offense trying to get back into it. And you got Zion Young coming at you every single play. Setting the edge. Nope, you're not running the football. Not running to my side. Zion Young they were talking about him. He was getting in the backfield earlier today. Apparently he's been in the backfield all OTAs, minicamp so far. You know what I'm saying? So, like, imagine what that's going to do to the psyche of an offense of a team that's losing, trying to get back into a game. When you're trying to get back into a game and you have a Zion Young just constantly jawing at you, and then he's super physical in game too. Man, listen. Whew.
And he'll be a guy that.
Oh, wait, we got another super chat donation. Another one coming from Bistro. Bistro making it rain today. So as a football guy, 3 tight end can be outside zone, run, and play action pass. The questions are, what makes them unpredictable? You know what I think makes them unpredictable? I think the X factor of having a Derrick Henry, and if you know that they're running to either which side of the field, either the short side or the long side, depending on where they're on the hash mark, doesn't matter. And you get linebackers shifting one way, you get the defense flowing one way, right? That's what's going to open up the play action. It's going to be unpredictable, right? I think that you're going to see a lot of that play action boots and things like that, where Lamar Jackson rolls out to the right or the left. You know, depends on how they draw it up, but the possibilities are endless. Again, like, they can go in 13 personnel very easily, just as easily as they can go in 11 personnel, which I saw somebody, I think 10 Speed, said in the chat, like, what happens to all the 11 personnel talk? Because you're right. Eric DaCosta did say that, yeah, I expect to see more spread offense and things like that. You know, us throwing the ball around, things like that. But I also think there is a reason why, just like they drafted 2 wide receivers, they drafted 2 tight ends. I definitely think they're going to use them. So I think you're going to see a very healthy mix, and that healthy mix is what's going to make them unpredictable, in my opinion. Bistro Chef, you've been very, very generous on this episode. Thank you so much for dropping all these super chat donations here. We appreciate you, brother. All your support, making it rain here at the Purple Rain Podcast. We truly do appreciate it. All right, Jesse, what else you got for me?
When the pads come on, it'll be really exciting to kind of see what that looks like.
When the pads come on, Chad.
Wink out there, obviously, which is kind of in the dialogue between you and him.
Yeah, Wink is one of my mentors. He was the coordinator here 18, 19, and 20, by 3 of my years here, always empowered me. We had a really awesome relationship. Our families had an awesome relationship, still do. And so anytime guys like that can come around and sort of check out what you're doing, again, give you a set of eyes, it's awesome to have Wink around.
Wink back in the building? Anybody feeling a Wink reunion? Maybe as a senior defensive consultant? Kind of like how we got old Brady up there. Who says no? I mean, another set of eyes can't hurt, right? But then again, you know what? We don't want too many chefs in the kitchen. So you know what? I'm good on that. Shout out to Wink, though. All right, so that wraps up the Jesse Minter interview. Let's go ahead and shift gears here to Roquan Smith speaking to the media. Here is some of what he had to say. Let's go ahead and kick this off here.
How do you think he's kind of handled basically the pressure of a new job like this?
Yeah, very excited to have Coach Minter here. And all it is opportunity breeds more opportunity. And I know he's very excited about it. So are we. And I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to show who we are.
He said you were really kind of taking ownership of the game since 16 years old. What has the conversations been like between the two of you? He's installing the system and taking ownership?
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I think his track record speaks for itself. It's been proven wherever he's been, whether that's the college ranks or the league ranks, and I think that speaks for itself through the actions. And so I'm very excited. It's very clear, precise on what he wants. So I'm excited to just go out and show exactly what myself as well as the defense are all capable of doing within the framework of the scheme.
Roquan, what about his defense excites you specifically?
Yeah, I just think it's a method behind the madness. And I think there's clear, clean
a method behind the madness, clear, clean communication. Again, all things that we really didn't have. It really felt like the Ravens 2025 defense, the motto, the strategy, if you will, was just basically sit back and just pray. Let things happen in front of you and just react. Right? There was no madness. There was just the defense was just wide-eyed. Okay, let's play 10 yards off the ball. Let them do whatever they want to do underneath, and let's just try to go see ball, get ball. That was it. That was pretty much it. Especially down the stretch of games in the fourth quarter. So
communication on what's expected in each and everything, and that's always allows each and every player to play to the best of their abilities and fast as well, where you're not hesitating or anything like that. So I'm excited about it, and I think it's going to be
to where you're not hesitating. What are they all saying? They're all saying the same stuff. We were hesitant. We were playing back. We were reactive. We weren't proactive. Jesse Minter is going to install a more proactive defense.
Good for all of us.
Roquan, looking back, how would you assess your season?
I think personally, my season, it wasn't the season that I wanted to have, regardless of the circumstances, because you can't control circumstances, regardless of what circumstances you're put in. So,
boom. So remember what I said earlier, chat. Remember what I said earlier about Roquan Smith basically saying in a way that the circumstances created by the Ravens' former coaching staff was the reason why the Ravens' 2025 defense was so ass. Let's take one more listen to that. Yeah, listen close now.
It's because you can't control circumstances, regardless of the circumstances, because you can't control circumstances.
He's talking about things he can't control.
Regardless of what circumstances you're put in, so you control your response. And so no excuses at all, but wasn't the season of my standard, nor was it from a defensive perspective as well. So I feel like you got to first start with yourself prior to going anywhere else.
How much is that something that you address kind of first day back in the building and meetings, looking back at last year versus just really turning the page, especially with the new staff?
I think that starts with the beginning of the offseason, regardless of who's going to be here. I think we're all pros, so you know how to truly assess yourself and what you did and what you did not do. So I think each and every man has to be true to themselves and look themselves in the mirror. And yeah, there's a high standard, especially here from the defensive perspective, as well as from my perspective, because 5 five all pros and not making it, something like that. Like, that's just personal. And so obviously there's a standard, and that wasn't quite there, nor was it the standard from the defensive perspective. So, but that's all in the past for a reason, and all we have is right now, and that's all we can focus on. Can't dwell on the past because it's in the past for a reason, and life you can't rewind, nor in the game of football, so you have to think about it with a forward approach.
We just heard Calais call Anthony Weaver his favorite coach probably of all time. What's it been like for you working with Anthony Weaver? What do you think he can do for this defense?
Yeah, I'm very excited to have Weave back here. I think first and foremost, he's a tremendous man. What he stands for, how he vibe, how he rolls, how encouraging he is, the teacher that he is. So I just think it's awesome having him back in the building. And like when you just have great people around, it just inspires you even more to do things the right way. So I think he's a great asset for us, and we'll definitely lean on him in many ways but one. So excited to have him here.
Have you seen Trenton Simpson grow as you've worked with him over the years, and what are you expecting out of him this season?
I think no one have more expectations of themselves than Trent, first and foremost. And the way the guy's been working, this is the best I've seen him since I've been around. And, like, it's the first year he's had the same position coach, and like whereas like the material and the terminology is like the same person's teaching it to him. So I think that plays a big part, especially when you're a young player transitioning into a new position, because truth be told, like, well, when he first came here, that was truly like his first time really playing inside linebacker. But obviously this game don't wait for anyone, and he's well aware of that as well. But I know he's preparing and he has the right mindset. He's not making the mistakes that he's made in the past. And even if he do make a mistake, which we all do as human beings, he's not making those same mistakes twice. So I'm very excited for where he's going to go. And I think it's a big year for him, a contract year. And I think he knows that. And it's a contract year for the defense as well. Every year is. So just got to think about it like that and go from there. But I'm very excited for him.
What do you think about the front line of the defense? They bring back Calais, sign Hendrickson, and draft Zion Young. Just what do you think of that group?
It's a good question here from Cordell.
On the front line.
Yeah, no, got some dogs up front. So, like, having dogs up front definitely allows you to get everyone around to play better. So I think once you have certain caliber players like a Calais, like a Trey, like a Zion, like a Mike Green, like a T-Rob, like a whoever is out there, and I just think those guys have a standard for themselves as well as the standard with the defense here. So I know those guys are very excited. I'm excited to have those guys here. Big Travis, Beaks, everybody. So, like, I'm very excited. When you have dogs out there, it just makes everyone's job a lot easier. So excited to have those guys, and I know they're very excited to be here as well.
Man, just close your eyes real quick and imagine. It's 3rd and 7. Ravens are up 10. And 3rd and 7 for the other team, by the way. And you've got Travis Jones and Nnamdi Madubuike with their hand in the dirt, pushing the pocket from the middle. And then you've got Trey Hendrickson standing over the left tackle at that 7-tech spot, ready to get chipped by a tight end, by the way, or a running back. And it doesn't matter, because just like Trey Hendrickson does, he's still going to be a bull in the china shop and get to your quarterback. So you got pressure coming from left and center. And then you've got a young, former first-round projected first-round pick of Mike Green, who's going to be coming off the other side of that edge. You know what I mean? Like, and then, oh, by the way, you got to make sure you know where number 14 is at, because he might be blitzing you too. I always talk about how the game of football is played from the inside out. If the guys on the interior D-line, let's just say and assume Madubuike is going to come back and play. If him and Travis Jones and Calais Campbell, if they're eating up the middle, that's only going to make the jobs of the edge rushers easier. If the edge rushers are getting after the quarterback and making them super uncomfortable, that's going to make the jobs of the secondary a lot easier because they have to cover less. And then the linebackers in the middle, that makes their job easier as well. They're the ones who tie everything together. It all starts with the interior of that D-line. So Roquan Smith saying here that, hey, look, man, we got some dogs up front. Because that's what we didn't have last year. The Ravens didn't do a terrible job at stopping the run last year, but when it mattered most and they needed to get after the quarterback, they could never do it. They did not have any sort of closing ability on defense. Now you got a closer in Trey Hendrickson, who's got the most fourth quarter sacks out of anybody in this league over, I believe, the past 5 years. Just saying. And oh yeah, they mentioned Trenton Simpson as well. Trenton Simpson said in an interview last week, I want to start rushing the passer more. That's what I did at Clemson. That's what I'm good at. I want to start doing that. And I could see them moving him around. Because again, Teddy Buchanan's going to come back. I think he's going to command that starting role at weak side linebacker. Of course, Roquan Smith will take on the strong side. But you may see rotationally Trenton Simpson get in the game rushing the passer too. So tons of options on this defense. Like I keep mentioning, all the ingredients that you could possibly want if you were a chef are in this kitchen already.
The Ravens used a first-round pick on the guard, Benga Ioane. I know you've gone and seen him across the line here. What's kind of been some of your impressions of him so far?
Yeah, and I know he's a tremendous hard worker. I can tell, obviously, we're not in pass right now, but I can tell physicality is his thing. So I'm very excited to see him in camp when the pass get to popping a little bit more. And he knows the game is very fast at this level, but, you know, the Big Ten ball is very fast as well. Not the SEC, but it's fast as well. So I know he's excited about the op, and I know those guys on the offensive line with Simpson, Ronnie, Roger, all those guys are going to bring him along very well. But I think he has all the talent in the world. It's just about stacking those days day after day, and I know he'll continue to do that.
After that strong start to his rookie season, Teddy obviously hasn't gotten a chance at a first NFL offseason. How have you tried to help him through this, and what have you seen from him?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Teddy's like mature well beyond his years, and I think first and foremost, he knows, like, just like I mentioned earlier, you don't control circumstances. So what happened to him, like, he can't control that. But what he can control is his response and how he's been preparing. And I've been seeing him rehab, and I've been seeing him doing amazing things. And like just his mental approach and physically, you would never know he had a knee issue or whatever like that when you just look at him. So I know his head is in the right place, and I know he's very excited to actually get back out there and play ball. But obviously, it's a build to that and not getting ahead of himself. And I know the AD and the training staff doing a great job with him as well. And I know personally just him as a person, he's very excited. And when he gets his opportunity, he's going to take full advantage of it.
Yeah, Teddy Buchanan, I'm excited for him too. But I saw somebody mention Jay Higgins in the chat. I would not mind Jay Higgins getting a fair shot at some playing time. I mean, Jay Higgins, I think he's going to get a lot of work in the preseason. And much like we saw last year in the preseason, Teddy Buchanan, to me at least, broke out in the preseason. I think that's kind of what gave him the nod eventually over Trenton Simpson in the regular season. But Jay Higgins has a prime opportunity here going into his second year to really put himself on the map as a viable linebacker in this linebacking room. I do believe that. Also excited for Tavius Robinson. Teddy was all rookie, right? Teddy was, I don't know if he was all rookie. I think he was up there in tackles. I can't remember if he got any accolades. I don't think he was. I don't know. Somebody fact check me on that. All right.
Moving on from last year, but the disappointment of not making the playoffs and all the changes this offseason, is there anything that you do take from last year going into this year?
I think you definitely take things, but you can't carry those things. So you definitely understand what happened and what wasn't to the standard. So But you can't like bring all of last year woes, oh, how things were run here last year, oh, how things were in the building, how questions asked, like how the defense was run. You can't take that because like life is not for the past, in my opinion. Yeah, there's things that were good things and there was bad things. And like, okay, you learn from the bad things, but you're not taking those things over into the next year, because if that's the case, then you truly wouldn't be growing. Like you grow after you build off the bad things. So it is what it is. And I think it's in the past for a reason, but we're all excited for this new opportunity. And like I said earlier, opportunity breeds more opportunity. So the opportunity to get out and do what we do and just showcase who we are. But those are just.
I feel like I should have taken a shot every time that Roquan Smith says the word opportunity. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
Words. So at the end of the day, it's about going out and showing it with our actions and not just being like a sounding board.
Well, I know you want to.
We've heard both you and Calais talk about Namde in glowing fashion. I mean, do you think he might be close to playing?
That's not up for me. Like if he's out there, all I control. Circumstances are not what I control. All I control is who's out there.
Yeah, why would Roquan answer a question about Nnamdi Madubuike getting back on the field? It's like, oh, you mentioned Nnamdi Madubuike as one of the dogs up front. Do you think he's close to coming back? Come on. If the head coach and the GM aren't talking about it, why do you think Roquan Smith, a player, is going to talk about it?
Including myself, when I'm out there, and all I control is my approach, who I am, what I do, and everybody's out there in their response to how things happen, not who's in the game.
Last one, Josh.
Bro, I know you want to put last year to bed, but last week, Lamar revealed, when was the exact game and moment when he kind of tweaked his hamstring, and how much that injury affected him. Was there anything lingering with you to give you an opportunity to speak on that, and any injury-wise as it pertains to last year?
Like I said, I don't let circumstances define who and how I roll. All I'm in control of is my response. So if I'm out there, I have to get the job done regardless of the circumstances. So you'll never see me say something about, to each his own. But personally, I don't control circumstances. I just control my response. So it's in the past, worked on those things. So it's about just being better and stronger this upcoming year.
Yeah, you better respond this year. I know that. I need a big response from Roquan Smith. A big one. I need again, forced fumbles. I need some interceptions. I need some big decleating hits, some enforcing hits, and I need you to show it, right? Do not let, if I'm Roquan Smith, I know I said earlier, like I feel like he's eventually going to pass the reins of like the pregame, hype speeches to Zion Young. But if I'm Roquan Smith, man, I'm looking around the locker room right now. Okay, I got Calais Campbell, an old vet dog, right? And then I got this young dog, Zion Young, and here I am in the middle, who I was the only one who was here last year, leading this team, holding this defense down, seemingly, right? He should want to, like, take pride in really being that enforcer and really bringing the energy to games. And again, not just pregame, but during the games as well. Because oftentimes, you can get to a whole Ravens game and not even know that Roquan Smith is playing. You can't. That's how unimpactful he was last season.
Thank you, Roquan.
All right, so that was Roquan Smith speaking, and then we just have Calais Campbell.
So, Calais, why do you keep going on? I mean, I know that's a lot of questions for a lot of people, especially a lot of people that have played your position that ask, why do you keep going?
I get probably asked that almost every day. From a bunch of players, coaches, staff, fans, my family. Everybody's just like, why you keep doing this? And I think the only answer I can really say is that I love the game. I love it. I'm still fairly good at it, and they still want me to play. So it's like, why not?
Still fairly good at it is crazy. Again, guys, would have led all Ravens in sacks last year. That's crazy.
I'm healthy, and I love the game. So, there's definitely a time and a place. One day it's going to get taken from me. I'm going to have to retire. But, even today I was like, man, I get to go out there on the field, put my helmet on. It's a good feeling. And so, I'm going to enjoy it as long as I can. Or at least, I think this year will be a great year for me to enjoy it. And this is a great environment. This, a top-flight organization. Teammates I have a lot of admiration for. Great coaching staff. So, I'm feeling really good about this year.
Do you have it in the corner of your mind that you might be back here at some point? I mean, obviously it was talked about near the end of the season a couple of years ago, and then going into this offseason. Was it in your mind? Or?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about playing football again, you kind of think about like what places would you play again? And so when I got, I mean, pretty much, since I left, every year in the offseason, it's been some kind of conversation with Eric DeCosta. And, it's been kind of one of those things where it's like, could it happen, and so.
That's interesting. That also came out of today. I don't know if you guys caught that, but apparently every season since Calais Campbell has not been a Raven, Eric DeCosta has reached out and did his due diligence to try to bring him back in the building because, listen, man, it never made any sense. It never made sense to let Calais Campbell walk, right? An aging vet who was playing for not a lot of money at all, but was that impactful. You know how valuable that was? You guys remember that Colts game on Thursday Night Football from a couple of seasons ago where he had 2 huge back-to-back impact plays that without those plays, the Ravens probably lose that game. Okay, they don't complete that comeback. So, and again, even at his big age, he's still largely impactful. No pun intended.
He tried to trade for me a couple times, and so I mean I knew it was a possibility if I was to play again, it could be here. And this year we finally made it work, and I think this is kind of divine. Like I feel like it's the right time, so I'm happy to be here.
You've probably been asked this before, but do you go into the season thinking it could be your last, or this is the last?
Yeah, no. I mean I always tell myself, in this year I feel like as strongly as ever, that this is probably gonna be my last year. I know I said that last year and the year before, but I mean, I genuinely mean it at the time. But I always tell myself to play well enough to be able to get a job again if I want to. So,
say that again, Calais. Say that one more time, Calais.
In this.
This is the last.
Yeah, no. I mean, I always tell myself, in this year I feel like as strongly as ever, that this is probably gonna be my last year. I know I said that last year and the year before, but I mean, I genuinely mean it at the time. But I always tell myself to play well enough to be able to get a job again if I want to. So if I perform out, go out there and perform to the level I want to play, then I'm probably gonna have to turn somebody down next year. And
that's such a good attitude. That's such a good attitude, right? He's saying like, yeah, this probably be my last year, but like I'm gonna play as if I need to come back next year and I need a job next year. Like, 2 things can be true at once. Like, I know I'm on my way out the door, but I'm still fighting like hell. I'm going down fighting, right? I want to be able to turn down offers next year. I don't want to have like nobody calling my phone. Even if I don't want to play, I want somebody calling my phone because of what I did in that season. That's an amazing mindset to have if you're Calais Campbell.
Ideal scenario. If I can have a chance to play well enough where they want me again next year, and I got to tell them no. And then at that time, we'll decide if there's, if I want to play again or not. But as of right now, I'm playing this year as if it's my last year.
It's not the same similar thing or same faces to building, but a whole new, coaching staff. So how does it feel strange to be like it's comfortable? I know what's going on, but it's also different.
Yeah, I mean, but it's variations of the same defense I've been in quite a few of my years.
Interesting.
Coach Minter, he was here with me in 2020. And we had a good rapport. Coach Weaver, I was with him here for 2 years, and then I was with him in Miami. And and there's a lot of coaches that kind of I've seen, I've been with other places, and you kind of you develop a friendship and a bond with these guys, and so it's not as unfamiliar. But there are a lot of new faces and new places, and and you kind of get that it's exciting of trying to learn something new, something different, because there are little variations to the defense, people's coaching style, and just how things are done nowadays. And so the evolution of that has been kind of fun to kind of keep up with, but it's also a challenge, but I think that this staff is well put together. I really like our coaches so far, and I think that with the right guys and the right coaches and that desire, you get a shot.
What stood out about Jesse that year that you spent with him? I mean, was he a guy that you looked at and maybe thought, hey, this is a guy who could climb up the ladder as a coach as he gets older?
Yeah, for sure. He's a football junkie. Somebody who loves the game, passionate about it. And just a brilliant guy. And him and Coach Mike McDonald. Just going through, sitting at eating lunch and, going like team travel, and you just kind of like having those casual conversations, and, kind of seeing both those guys as guys that like probably going to get opportunity, and then see, Coach McDonald win a Super Bowl. It's like, oh, I knew he was going to be a great coach, but that's pretty cool to see, as a fan of his, obviously, every year I want to try to win one too, but, if you're not in it, you root for the guys that you kind of have admiration for. And Coach Mitchell is the same way, just like another guy that you kind of just, if I wasn't playing here, I still root for him because he's such a good guy, and I can see the way he loves the game.
Get this guy a Lombardi, bro. Please, can we get Calais a Lombardi? You guys remember when like Ray Lewis had his last ride in 2012? You guys remember that, right? And everybody kind of rallied around him. I could see that exact same thing happening this year. Don't let the Ravens get on a hot streak and, knock on wood, make the playoffs, right? Because if the Ravens make the playoffs and this guy sees an opportunity to get a ring, he's going to turn the clocks back one last time. And I feel like everybody in that locker room is going to want to fight for him to get a ring. For him to get a ring. Because he's literally like the team dad, right? He even sounds like it. The biggest one in the room. He's got this voice of like a 64-year-old, like just old man. You know what I'm saying? But he's still a beast. They're going to want to fight for him to get the ring. The OG. Exactly.
Like, I love it, and I'm very grateful that he chose to bring me along with the process, and hopefully we can, help him.
By the way, what up, C Iron?
It'd be sweet to rose that Lombardi Trophy, but just having the chance to compete for one, and just be there when it matters. That's gonna be enough. When you get there, you just figure out if you have enough that day, but just being able to, be in the fight when it matters.
You just mentioned the Super Bowl. I mean, you got to a Super Bowl your rookie year. How tough is it not to think about that, especially at this point in your career, to get back, to finish a job, to have a chance to get a Super Bowl ring before you retire?
I tell myself all the time, like, don't worry about, trying to win a Super Bowl, right? Just have fun playing football. But when you see a lot of things that fit into the puzzle, you're like, well, there's a chance.
There's a chance.
History tells me, like, it's hard. Like, it's not going to be easy for anybody, whoever the team is that wins it at the end of the year. It's not going to be easy, And so, like, a lot of things have to go right for whatever team that is. You got to be healthy. Got to be connected. You got to have things that fall into place, and and just the ball bounce your way. Good breaks. From the referees and all the stuff that goes to the game. So it's just like at the end of the day, you can't. There's a lot of uncontrollables, but the thing you can't control is playing again the right way with a championship mindset. Giving great effort. Making sure that the team is connected and accountable and playing the right way. And, whatever happens after that, we'll see. We'll just put our hands in the dirt and go compete. And, hopefully at the end of the year, we're in it when it matters.
Real quick, Park Heights Pat says, I'm going to just watch the games and hope for the best. I hear the same things every year, LOL. This our year. We win in the bowl, blah, blah. Pat, I'm right there with you. Because guess what? I'm going to be watching the game and hoping for the best, too. Okay? However, I do love this team so much to where every single year I buy into and overreact to, and not even just because I'm a content creator, but just as a fan, right? Even before me and Alex started this channel, just as a fan, I would always listen to all this stuff and I'd buy all the propaganda and make my own takes and assumptions and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we still got to get up there on Sundays and watch these games and see what actually happens. So you're absolutely right about that. But, man, I love breaking down the psyche of the team just as much. I do. But, Pat, make sure you stick around for the season, man. It's going to be a fun one.
What was it like for you to reunite with some of these defensive linemen that were just young guys when you were last on the team?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's kind of like the first day of school, where you're excited to see your classmates you haven't seen in like 6 months, whatever, and it's like your best friends. And it's like, man, but a little more time in between, but. Matabike, Travis Jones, Broderick, even Kyle Hamilton and, Roquan and, Marlon and, so many of these guys that I, shared the field with that I have so much admiration for, but like really Matabike too. It's just like, like seeing him as a rookie and like his development for the 3 years we played together and then him turning into like the superstar and then, him going through his, situation he's going through
Matabike's so
right now,
good.
and just trying to always be there for him. Like, we always kept in touch. Like, we're, say good friends, and I'm checking on him the whole way. And then like now it's just like, being here in the same locker room with him. I mean, it's been a treat. And like I tell him all the time, like, man, you grown up. Like he's like, man, I look the same. Oh no, you do not. You're a grown man now. Got the chest popping out, looking strong as can be. I mean, he's just phenomenal football player. And
God, we need Matabike back, man.
And all of them really, seeing, Kyle Hamilton become, probably the best safety in football, and just, seeing him when he was a young buck, and, you see the potential and what he could do. And then obviously now he's been doing it for a few years. It's been great to see. Even like Travis, Travis is one of those guys, he's so strong and so gifted. And I was hard on him as a rookie. Like I teased him a lot, but I was hard on him because I see the potential he had, and to see him kind of, get rewarded, get a contract, and be a premier guy in this league. It's been fun to see.
Working with Anthony Weaver here originally, and then both of you in Miami, and now coming back as well here in Baltimore again. How have you seen him grow alongside of him growing a defense as well? Yeah,
I think that Weaver's probably my favorite coach. I say that, all the other coaches I had, they're great coaches. I love you guys too, but Weaver's been my favorite coach, and the reason is he's just, he's really good at connecting with the guys, and we have a great relationship. And I feel like, he will one day as well be a phenomenal head coach when opportunity comes for him. But, he's probably the main reason why I came back here, just, having the conversation with him and, being able to, just try to help him have success so that he can get where he wants to go. Is something that I take great pride in, and hopefully I can do my part to help him. But I think at the end of the day, he's the first one to say he just wants to win, just wants to be part of something great. And me too. Same mindset, same mentality. But he's really helped my career, helped me have longevity. And just believing in me as well, which gives more confidence, right? Because you get older.
Real quick, he's talking about Tony Weaver here, Anthony Weaver, and I think there's definitely something to be said about how Anthony Weaver, with his responsibility as mainly as just a motivator, right? Because he's not going to be calling plays. He's there for leadership. Of course, there's going to be some scheme things he has his hand in too, but he's not there to call plays, chat. So like, I feel like Anthony Weaver is doing a really good job, just kind of naturally, at establishing himself as somebody who this defense is going to want to run through a wall for. I'm sorry. That's what I'm getting from Anthony Weaver. That's what I'm getting from Calais Campbell here too.
Every year you're kind of like, can I still do this? Like it's in the back of your mind, like, all right, can I still go out there and dominate a game? And then when he comes in and he shows that kind of belief and he sees, where I practice and he, kind of like, it's like, man, I'm expecting a lot out of you. You're like, okay, let me rise to the occasion. Let me go give him what I got, I think it's
run through a wall for him. They're all going to want to run through a freaking wall for Anthony Weaver, man. I love that.
Help me have success later in my career, but my all-time favorite coach.
As you're 5 games away from setting the passing Jim Marshall and setting the record for the most games played by an NFL defensive lineman, what would that mean to you?
Well, that is definitely a goal I don't think I've ever had. I didn't think about that as a kid. I just like playing the game of football. It's 5 games. It seems so light, but it's not. That's a lot of games you got to play. There's a lot of guys who played the game of football would have loved to have played 5 games in the NFL. My brothers included. I got 5 brothers. They all have played 5 games in the NFL.
Isn't that amazing? Like, he's up to be, goodness, man, to have the most games played for an NFL defensive lineman. That is insane. By the way, I didn't mean to say that. What's his name? Anthony Weaver was only going to be a motivational mouthpiece for this defense. I know he's going to, teach tape. He's going to teach technique and form and things like that to all the guys as well. I'm just speaking from he's not going to have to spend a lot of his days and nights, right? Putting together this defense. I think Jesse Minter is going to do. So I think, that's not going to be as much on his plate as it was, say, in Miami, right? When he was defensive coordinator for them. That's what I mean, really.
But I'll say that, to all the guys who ever played the game of football and played the DN position, to be able to go out there and and play more games than everybody else is like, wow, it's mind blowing. It's like
insane,
I'm just a kid that love playing football, and I get to keep playing. I'm happy. But it is cool and surreal to be like, oh wow, I play more games than anybody else. That's a sweet thing. So hopefully, God willing, I can accomplish that. But I know in this business, like, that's never a guarantee. So you gotta. I'm grateful for every day I get to play football. Knowing that at any moment it can be taken away from me.
Calais, since you left Baltimore, your usage has kind of gone down, but your production has gone up really over these last few years. Is that still kind of the plan, even coming here now, that maybe less is more?
Yeah. Part of getting old is evolving your game and understanding how to stay relevant and keep an impact. And so it was very humbling. You have to say, okay, I can't play 60, 65 plays anymore. I got to come down and play 35, 40. That was a humbling experience, but it also led to more production, like having better quality plays. Because if I go out there and try to play 45, 50 plays, I'm not going to get a lot of quality plays at the tail end of that.
And you know what? Honestly, if I'm Jesse Minter, I'm listening to that. I'm saying, okay, noted. And I think he talks about what Jesse Minter said to that as well. Let's take a listen.
Out there and I manage my reps and I play 35 to 40, they're going to probably all mostly be quality plays, And so it's just having that mentality of like, all right, listen to your body, being honest with yourself, being self-aware, communicating with the coaches, having a good plan and rotation. I told Coach Weave, I said, I'm training to be able to play 40 plays a game and be able to give you quality 40. And he said, if you can give me 30, I'll be happy.
See, and I love that right there. Calais Campbell say, hey, listen, man, I'm training to be able to give you 40 good reps per game, right? And Weave's like, hey, look, if you could just give me 30, that's perfect. So like Calais Campbell going into this role where, because, honestly, Calais Campbell can play in a lot of different spots on that defensive line. But I do think that the Ravens have solid enough depth, right, to kind of rotationally bring in Calais Campbell when we really need him the most. I think that in second halves of games where teams have to take to the air, right, they have to throw the ball more than they would like to. If you put in Calais Campbell and he's fresh in those second half of games, and he's just batting down passes that are trying to go over the middle, the check downs to the running back to get a couple yards on first down and things. If he's taking that away, and again, he's fresh in those third and fourth quarters, and he's also getting after your quarterback too, and Nnamdi Madubuike gets a rest or Travis Jones gets a rest. Oh, listen, bro, we're cooking. We are. The theme of this video. All the ingredients in the kitchen. All the ingredients are in the kitchen. Some of y'all still think we need to go to the store and pick up another wide receiver. One thing we are missing, we're missing a center. We got some alternatives, but for the most part, the ingredients are in the kitchen, man. And I love it. This defense and this offense, they both should do numbers, but definitely the defense. I think if there was somebody who I had higher expectations for, it's definitely the defense over the offense. I get it. Offense has Lamar, Henry, Zay, all that's great. But this defense was basically a Hellcat without an engine last year. And Jesse Minter is going to inject that engine into that Hellcat and bring it back to what it's supposed to actually be and what it's supposed to actually look like. Communication sound like. Right? Man, that excites me. Man, I'm hyped. Okay, guys, let's move on. Spent a lot of time on the interviews, but that's okay. I told you guys it was going to be a jam-packed episode of the show. If you're still watching, please be sure to leave a like on this video. Like the video. And if you're part of the replay gang, hype the video as well. That helps us out a ton here at the show. If you're watching on X, shout out to you. Please be sure to follow me on X right here at Sutton Def. And then make sure you head on over to YouTube. It's to the Purple Rain Podcast, right? Check us out over there. Also, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are available there too. All right, so here is a report from Cordell Woodland. And it's funny, Cordell actually put the quotations around his name on X now. That's funny. Again, friend of the show. He's supposed to be coming on tomorrow. So I'll definitely ask him about that. He says the offense lost today's be at your best when your best is needed challenge, which was a relay race. It didn't stop some defensive players from running with them, though. So I see Kyle Hamilton out there. So apparently the offense lost today's relay race, or the offense versus defense exercise or whatever. And of course, the punishment is you have to run. The losing team has to run. But some of these defensive players were actually still out there running too. Like I said, I saw Kyle Hamilton. Who's bought in? Let me see who's bought in. Humphrey's in there. Okay. I can hardly tell from this angle. But I love to see that. I love to see that. And again, just kind of like building that bond and not like that camaraderie. And like somebody said earlier today in the super chat, kind of building that us versus them, kind of galvanizing this team and getting them on the same page here. I love it. I love it. Can't say enough about it. Couple other notes from today's mini camp before we run down into some extra time. A couple more notes from today's mini camp. We talked about the special teams. So running back Derrick Henry continued to look more involved as a pass catcher. Whether that translates to the field remains to be seen, as Henry only crossed 30 receptions in a season twice. He's caught just 36 passes in 2 seasons with the Ravens. So, as we know, Derrick Henry is not a huge pass catcher, but when he does, when he gets in space, he's actually pretty effective. We've seen that before too. But this is a reason why I'm really excited for Adam Randall. Right, we haven't really heard too much about him so far in mini camp. Hopefully we do soon. But I would love to see a new running back emerge as a legitimate pass catching threat. Justice Hill is, kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. I've said this before. And of course, we love Justice Hill here at PRP. Don't get me wrong. We love Justice Hill. But I think it is time for the Ravens to have a legit dual threat at running back. So whether or not Derrick Henry will actually be catching balls out of the backfield come season time, I mean, that remains to be seen. But I do think that needs to be developed in the passing game, right? All right, so tight end Mark Andrews was a popular target for Lamar during 7-on-7. Mark Andrews arguably had the second best catch of the day, making a diving grab along the left sideline. Okay, so here's my thing about Mark Andrews, chat. I think that Mark Andrews, as much as, we have talked down on him, I do think that he is still Lamar Jackson's number one target. Like he has been his whole career, security blanket target for Lamar. I think Mark Andrews is going to turn the clocks back. I think he's going to have a bounce back season. I do. And do I think that will maybe take away from the production of somebody like maybe a Jacoby Lane or like a Hibner or Cuevas? I don't know. Yes, I do think that will take away from their production. But hey, listen, man, if Mark Andrews wants to, again, turn back the clocks and start scoring touchdowns again, and hopefully he can take that energy into the postseason as well, if the Ravens make it there, knock on wood, then I'm all for it. But it doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't shock me at all that Mark Andrews is looking like Lamar Jackson's favorite target. And this was in 7-on-7s today. Wide receiver Xavier Guillory made a stupendous catch along the right sideline, dragging his right leg to stay inbounds through contact on a nice throw from Skylar Thompson. So Xavier Guillory, he's another guy who's on the bubble, way down there on that wide receiver depth chart list, him and Dayton Wade, right? Xavier Guillory, he hurt himself in the preseason last year, had a season-ending injury, and so now he's just getting back. And fun fact, this is actually my neighbor's cousin, Xavier Guillory is. I know that's kind of like a weird fact, but like it is. But I mean, I love to see that. I mean, guys are going to be fighting for these roster spots. I know that much. They're going to be fighting for those roster spots. And we're talking about, bringing in a veteran wide receiver. That only makes it even more crowded for guys like Xavier Guillory, for guys like Dayton Wade, etc. LaJohntay Wester. Wide receiver LaJohntay Wester had a couple of nice catch and runs. He also made an impressive one-handed grab when working on air. If Wester can get himself into more catch and run situations, whether it be on offense or special teams, Baltimore's offense will get a massive boost. Yeah, with Wester, man, I really just would rather see him take that next step as a punt returner, because again, there's just too many mouths to feed in the wide receiver room right now. Just way too many. Way too many. And I'll be damned if LaJohntay Wester is taking away opportunities from Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt. I'm just saying. What else we got here? Defensive lineman Broderick Washington Jr. Okay, so he's back. Love to hear that. Had a pass breakup, while outside linebacker Trey Hendrickson, outside linebacker Tavius Robinson, and safety Kyle Hamilton each blew up one play apiece in the backfield. So Tavius getting in the backfield, Kyle Hamilton getting in the backfield, and Trey Hendrickson getting in the backfield. Again, I'm going to say it again, guys. I don't know how a quarterback plans for Trey Hendrickson and Kyle Hamilton on 3rd and long. I don't understand. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Man, I don't know. I have no idea what you do in that situation. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move on here. Let me see. Oh, Zion Young. More Zion Young stuff. Rookie edge rusher Zion Young put together a handful of quality reps getting into the backfield with elite power and persistence. He quickly sniffed out one screen attempt, swam past his blocker, and would have put a hit on the quarterback. One play later, Young peeled back for what would have been a peel back hit. When he strikes a sled, it looks different, Mentor said. I mean, the power, the tenacity, you're already seeing it from Zion Young. The energy, right? We mentioned earlier in this episode that he almost got into a scuffle with Emory Jones earlier at minicamp practice today. I love to see that energy. I love it. From a rookie, too, he's not walking on pins and needles. He's not. I love it. All right. What else we got? Ryan Eckley's been cooking today. Ryan Eckley was cooking. I saw that. Shout out to him. We're going to need Ryan Eckley. I mean, what's his name? Jordan Stout. He was punting the hell out of that football for the Ravens last year. Ryan Eckley's got some shoes to fill. But apparently he's supposed to be that dude. So we shall see. All right. Couple last things before we wrap up the show here. Some non-Ravens related stuff really quick here. I saw this was reported by Evan Sidery, but it was per Adam Schefter apparently, which we have to believe it when we see it. But apparently Aaron Donald is more likely than not to unretire soon and sign with the Rams on a 1-year deal to join Myles Garrett. Again, per Adam Schefter. LA will now have the two greatest D linemen of the modern era alongside each other. Again, I'll believe it when I see it. However, if this is coming from Shefty, then it's probably got a little bit of truth to it. And again, it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense. Like, if I was Aaron Donald and I was just bored at home on the couch just trying to figure out more ways to torture my body via workout so I can post it on Instagram, yeah, I might consider taking a call from Stan Kroenke and the Rams and Sean McVay to come back for a season. If Myles Garrett is going to be opposite me, so you're telling me I don't have to deal with these dumbass double teams that made me retire, these double and triple teams that made me retire in the first place? I get to come back and actually have fun and possibly win another ring? I mean, it's a no-brainer. If I was Aaron Donald, I'm doing it. So where there's smoke, there might be fire. Aaron Donald might be coming back to the league, in which case, if he does, I think you got to make the Rams just bona fide. I mean, you got to pencil them in at that point for a Super Bowl. I get it's a long season. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? There's some really good teams in the NFC. I get that. But Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald on the same defensive line, that is an extremely spooky sight. Extremely. Okay. So, take it with a grain of salt. We'll see. We'll continue to monitor that situation, see what comes of that. You also had this. So the Bengals restructured the contract of quarterback Joe Burrow earlier today, per Ian Rappaport, which created $10 million in cap room. This move allows Cincinnati to operate without putting itself in a tough spot cap-wise. This is due in part to the cash needed for the Dexter Lawrence trade. So basically, the Bengals are broke. Okay, the Bengals are broke, and they went to their Burrow bank and said, "Hey, Burrow bank, do you mind if we restructure our deal here so that way we can go and we can make sure that we have enough money to operate to keep the lights on?" You know what I mean? Cap wise, because we just got Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, you remember that big D tackle that's supposed to help out the defense and make it so you don't have to play from behind all the time, right? We got to sign him. We need the cash. So can we get the cash from your Burrow bank? And Joe Burrow, you know, I guess agreed to this restructure here. Well, not agreed to it because I think the Bengals held the right to be able to do something like that. But still, the Bengals are broke. The Bengals are broke. They are strapped for cash. Strapped for cash. LOL Finn's case says, I buy Joe Burrow, but nothing else with that pathetic organization. Kwame says he needs to do his part by staying healthy. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm not buying into the Bengals at all. Bengals are a terrible franchise. I agree. They are a terrible franchise. Finn's K. They are a terrible franchise. Now, am I not buying into them at all? I don't think I can agree with that. Cue the God. Only because their offense is like that. Okay, it is still like, I mean, if Joe Burrow can stay healthy, him, Chase, and Higgins, and if Chase Brown can continue to get better, that's a tough nucleus to stop offensively. And then on defense, you know, getting Jonathan Allen, Boye Mafe, Dexter Lawrence. We'll see what Shamar Stewart has to offer in year 2. I think they got a safety too. I mean, but their defense is finally starting to put the pieces together. We'll see what it actually looks like on the field. But they've got some solid pieces there in Cincinnati. I wouldn't sleep on them too hard. I wouldn't sleep on them too hard. I think they made enough changes on defense. Problem is, I just think that there's other teams in the division who just still simply have a better defense. I mean, I could argue that all 3 teams in the AFC North still have a better defense than the Bengals. I think that they made enough changes, but their offense is still going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting, Kwame. That's what I think. That's what I think. But I wouldn't write them off. I think the AFC North is going to be sneaky competitive this year. Sneaky competitive. Like the last place team in the AFC North this year might have like 7-8 wins. It's possible. I think the AFC North can hurt a lot of feelings this year. Maybe not 7 wins, maybe like 6 wins. I don't know. Something like that. But sneaky competitive. I think that they'll be. The AFC North, that is. Okay. I think that was about it for today. Yeah, that was about it for today, chat. So great episode. Great episode. Please be sure, guys, like this video. Subscribe to the channel because tomorrow we're having a special guest on the show. Having a very special guest on the show tomorrow. That should be a lot of fun. And you're going to get more interviews. We went through all the interviews today from Jesse Minter, Calais Campbell, Roquan Smith. But tomorrow, you're getting Lamar Jackson. And a couple of others, too. And we will be covering it here and breaking it all down right here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel on Quiet Storm Sports. So make sure you stay tuned in, stay locked in to this channel, your #1 source for daily Ravens content, thought-provoking content, might I add, is what we do here at PRP. We break it all down. Sometimes we get the yapping, but we break it all down. We get there. We slow walk the dog here at PRP. We do. But that's why you have the timestamps in the video. So shout out to the replay gang as well. If you're still sticking around, you're part of the replay gang. Again, comment down below what you thought about this episode. And with that being said, chat, love you guys. Appreciate y'all as always. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.